To many, Sentinels are the best Valorant team in the world. So today I want to look at what makes their defense so difficult to play against. This round here, for example, obviously 10 says early info towards A, allows a heavier stack towards C and B from this defensive side. And what's going to end up happening is as Exit hit this C site, the entire defense, except for 10s, is going to be here ready to greet them. And you might think, well, obviously 10s had all that info, easy for them to stack towards this C site. But there's a lot more going on here than might have first initially meet the eye, including where the Phoenix started, and the fact that Zoms was hanging on to 2 of his Astral Stars before the hit even came in from Exet. Now, as I mentioned, the first thing I want you to pay attention to is 6th position. Is look at the timing of this. Basically, the timing at which Zoms Cypher Cam spots anyone coming up C long is going to be the timing it takes for Sick to run from his position, watching that back garage window, to site, flash around the corner, and allow them to double peek. Obviously, the flash is good for trying to get this kill like they do, but it's also going to delay them because your natural instinct when you get flashed is obviously not just keep running onto site, you're going to stop and slow down. Now what this does, it allows a second layer to come in. Was talked about Zom having those 2 Astro Stars in his pocket. As he's rotating in here, he stops, puts one of them down and instantly activates it as soon as he can into that gravity well. So you've been delayed by the flash if you exit, and then you've got a gravity well right at the entrance to the C site, meaning that by the time that gravity well disappears, even Shazam, who was playing this A link area, has rotated into the C site, and you're now fighting 4 defenders as Exit, and you have to be an absolute miracle worker to get through 4 defenders. And that's really my main point with Sentinels, is they're so good at flooding these sites and using their utility to put themselves in a position to fight together as a team. Now the information is obviously nice, like you're seeing here again, with 10s pushed up here towards A, and allows them to bolster towards this C side of the map. What we're going to see here is 1, how Sentinels choose where they want to fight together, but also how they play off information. Firstly, Shazam's Aldrone spots 2 people in garage, and look what happens, is right as this happens, as soon as those players are spotted, Zom stops and he puts down these 2 stars on the map. One of them he's going to instantly turn into a smoke, and the other one he's just going to leave there later on. And what they're going to do is they rotate heavily in here towards this C site because they know 2 players in garage, well, the only site that Exit can really finish at in the next 10 seconds or so is this C site. So they rotate in there quite heavily. They activate that smoke from Zoms, which gives them the comfortability to rotate in here towards this C site. And what they've done this entire time is they've decided they're not going to fight the entrance of C like they did last time with Sick flashing around the corner. They're going to fight on the side itself. And we're going to see it be very successful. Zoms is going to peek over here, the left side with his gravity wall. Dapper goes through his own cyber cage, and Shazam is here as well for this 3rd kill. Now let me break down for you what exactly just happened. There's no obvious double peaks like we saw in the last round, but there is a great amount of coordination here from Sentinels, something that has to be on the fly. So 1, we've got the Astra and Zoms fighting here, and his gravity well has just been activated in this area of the map. So a good fight for him, obviously fighting into his own grav well. Now as this is going to happen, we're going to see Dapper come through his own cyber cage and take this fight here. Now the other thing to notice here is 1, Shaz, he doesn't have his recon dart right now, but if I just play this quickly right now, we're going to see, oh, there it is, it comes through for him right now. So what we're going to see is as this pops up for him, he now shoots this at this wall here, and this is going to land in this area. So if you're the attacker right now, obviously you're inside this box, and you have to choose where you want to fight. Do you want to fight inside the gravity wall onto Zom, who's drawing the majority of attention right now, it should be said? Do you want to try and shoot off Shaz's recon bolt that's about to land here? Or guess what? Surprise. Something you wouldn't have planned for is Dapper coming through his own cyber cage and taking you out. So we can see as we unpause this right now, that's exactly what's going to happen. You guys already saw it actually as 1, there it goes through. Jet was actually trying to put a smoke onto that recon dart we saw come out, and Shaz comes through afterwards and gets this 2nd kill here. And that's what makes Sentinels so dangerous, is that on the fly fighting we just saw them do. Obviously Tens is in a great position here because of the flank he pulled through, but what Sentinels just did wasn't planned, right? There's no way that Shazam says, all right, boys, you're going to fight your Gravwell Zoms. Dapper, you're going to run through your cyber cage, and I'm magically going to only have 1 second left until I get my recon dart. I'm going to shoot at the wall, draw the attention to that, and Dapper, you're going to come through and get a kill, right? The one thing they can plan for is that they fight in this box that I drew out on the map, but how they do it from there is often on the fly and has to be coordinated with split-second timing. And the Sentinels' ability to do this is what makes them so incredibly difficult to play against. Now at this stage, some of you are probably saying, yeah, but Tens had so much information on both those rounds you just showed us. What about when they don't have info? Let's look at a massive map like Breeze, where it's difficult to have these maybe quicker rotations that they'd have on a map like Haven. And we're going to see a great example here, where Dapper is in here alone. a standard utility comes out. He's going to activate his swarm grenades right there. And essentially, they're going to be forced to let the bomb go down, or the spike go down, sorry, and let this bomb be played out. Six going to take out Def, which we'll talk about a little bit more in a second, before the Seekers come out, and Zekken is stuck in here in this position, and basically Dapper and Sikisorb swung him at the same time. The Viper Walls come across here from Zoms, and they're just going to end up swinging this one out together, and it doesn't end up in a 2v2. It doesn't end up being super clean after Aaron gets these two, but eventually the Recon Bolt comes through, and Shaz ends up getting the final 2 kills. A pretty chaotic kind of round, but I want to break this one down for you. The first thing to break down is the Killjoy utility and how Dapper is playing this particular round. Obviously, Sentinels not focused towards A, they're heavier towards middle. And they're going to allow this standard kind of A exec to come through from exit. And honestly, there's not a whole lot you can do. Alarm bell gets triggered, that's Dapper's cue to spam. And then you can see right now, as Def starts planning the spike, that's going to be the cue for Dapper to activate his 2 swarm grenades in this area. Now, what's this going to do? Well, obviously, if you want to get more aggressive or potentially have more of an after plant from the attacking side than just in cave, is you have to get behind this particular pyramid and start taking these more aggressive fights on these angles, or maybe just to help protect this guy, if you can like pivot back and forth like this between cover and fighting this way, it's going to be a bit more of a thorn in the defensive side. So those swarm grenades are there to stop any of that coming through from the attacker's side. And obviously, if you try and take this pathing or this pathing as the attacker, it's essentially suicide because of all the different angles you're exposing yourself to. So that's why the utility is all in this area for Dapper, is to prevent that particular afterplan or that particular strategy, or I guess fights, to come out from the attacker's side. So as this one comes playing through, it's going to be important, right? Because let's look at how Def dies as he gets that spike down. Eventually, as it will, that Viper Wall disappears and he gets taken out by 2 players. Now look at how this was set up from Sentinels. Is there's 2 of them here ready to greet this player. So essentially it's a 2v1 for anyone trying to take this fight. All right, there's nothing, no one can help this guy out. There's no one, as I said, behind this pyramid. That would be the perfect spot, right? If you're hiding in this cover here, oh bang, let's spike out and try and take this fight. No, you can't be there because Dapper's used his swarm grenades early on, which essentially means Def had no chance at all at getting out of here and surviving. So moving forward from there, once they get an initial kill, turn it into a 5v4. The Seekers come out from 6 straight away. He's going to swing this, look at the map as well, at the same time as Dapper and the Killjoy is peeking right now. Get the kill into him, we're in a 5v3. Now, this wall has come across the front of the site from the Viper in Zoms, and what that's going to do is force Exit to spam the spike at the same time as trying to fight anyone peeking, such as Sick is right now. And Aaron actually does a really good job of this, where Sick peeks in front of it, and so does Dapper, and he takes out both those players. And then we can see, watch these traces coming out from BCJ as the Viper on the attacker side. He's spamming the spike right now. Now, the goal, I think, from Sentinels 1 is obviously if there's a wall across here like this, and you hear the spike get tapped, is you now have 2 choices. One, do I spam the spike and try and kill the player on it? Or do I hold my crosshair, hold my fire, and get ready for an attack from these defenders peeking me in the positions we just saw Sick and Dapper doing? It's a difficult decision to make, right? Stop the spike being diffused potentially, be fully ready for a fight coming my way. And they seem to find this pretty well. Aaron's ready for the fight, and he gets both the kills, and BCJ is getting the kill of spamming the spike to make sure it's not going to be there. So actually pretty decent from Exit in this scenario. But in the end, nice little double peek with the recon dart. They peek back, and Shaz is going to get the final 2 of them lined up. So hectic round, but you can see it's not overly complicated, but you can see how Sentinels have controlled the retake in this scenario despite giving up the A side itself. Let's look at a map like Bind, where a lot of the time you're just going to be playing 3-2 towards one of the sites that you think is most likely for the attackers to hit. Now, if you want to look further into Bind, look at when Shazam uses our drone, his utility. It's quite interesting. In this particular round, he's going to use recon dart. It's going to get shot off, so he knows that there's someone there in this case before he uses his own shock dart and the owl drone himself, which is only going to spot Mikael, who takes it out. Good job from Nature and Kusta to hide from that to make sure there wasn't too much information being gathered. We're then going to see Dapper get pushed off his position here, taking a 1v1 against GMD. Paint shells come through and force Dapper off this hookah position. So you can see at this point what GNG have done. They've controlled this B-long area with only Shazam knowing that the opposing Sova is in this position. And same thing here for Dapper, is he's been pushed off hookah by just the singular Raze, which is a little bit risky, right? The Raze has gone in there alone taking the fights against the Viper Wall, but he actually managed to get away with it, and GNG have got a lot of information. Now, the other thing to point out here is right at the beginning of the round, there was a guiding light that came through from Sean in here towards Shao, basically as the round started, to push turns off potentially getting aggressive. So the 3 spots where Sentinels tend to have their information, GNG have already pushed off in some capacity, and you can see they're positioning their attack here towards B. Now I want you to look at how Sentinels respond to the information Gen G give them. Is one, all the utility is still there from the Viper at this stage. They've got about 15 seconds to buy as this opposing our drone comes out from Gen G. But look at what else Gen G are doing in this particular issue. You see all the utility got from the Viper right now is the two players in the Raze and Sean in the Sky have positioned themselves here towards this A site. And not only has Sean come through here with his dog, but we also saw the boom bot get put out by GMD. You're actually going to see it in a second on Sean's pop. There it is, coming back his own boom bot in this position. Now look at what this signals for Dapper to do is they now know that at least two players from Gen G were in this position here, at least a little while ago. You can see that GMD actually quite quickly moved back here to position himself towards B. So what he's going to do is, where he was pushed off this hookah position, is he's going to move back to make sure they have some kind of information. Because remember what I said to you, they want information either towards the fountain area, in hookah, or showers, all three of which have been taken away. So what Dapper's going to do is, as this info came through from Gen G that they were pressuring this middle area here, is he is going to reposition himself to get info early on and strengthen this B defense. And you can see as this round plays out, Shazam is actually going to go down, trading 1-for-1 here, but as he goes down, this line has been reclaimed by Dapper here, so he has a lot of information towards this hookah position, which is going to make this take here a little bit more difficult for Gen G. But let's talk about Shazam's peak quickly. He recon darts, and it's going to spot Mikhail. You can see it's landed right here on the map, basically right above where that player is. Notice Nature and Kusta haven't rounded the corner, so it's only going to spot one player here actually for Shazam. So he's going to push through this smoke, and you can see right as he peaks now, he's going to be greeted by a lot of players. He takes out Mikhail, the player he spotted, but I think because his recon dart only spotted the one player, he thought he could challenge this towards the octagon area, as well as the fact that we just saw this Viper wall dip down here. Maybe he wasn't aware that it was going to drop so quickly. It's hard to know the comms right, but he could have been hoping to move onto site, not be isolated by this smoke Kusta put out, and be in a position where he can fight Dapper as the players are running onto site, and fight them in the position where Dapper eventually does get the kill towards Kusta, who's obviously not expecting anyone to be in this position. So think about if Dapper had got this kill and Shazam was able to still play off him, maybe from backside or in some other kind of way. But because Dapper's in this position, he's able to, one, get the kill onto Kusta, giving them a 4v3, but he's also in prime position to use his utility. So you can see that once he gets this kill, Gen G are trying to trade him, he can activate all of his Viper utility and just sit in it, play around it, and delay for a large amount of time, which allows his teammates to rotate in. And look at when Sick comes through the smoke. We can see on the corner of our screen right now that the Viper orb is actually still up here because of how recently Dapper died. So two of the players from Sentinels are now here ready to fight. So essentially Gen G have to take out 4 players. And the way sometimes going down is Sick jumps through here, unaware that Nature could be pushed up, even though he did shoot at Dapper. I think obviously hectic situation, the comm just doesn't through quick enough, and that's enough for Gen G to close out this very important round. So you can see how Sentinels were tested on this one, how they like to react, give themselves the best chance into the round, and how something as small as Sick not getting that comm coming out of spawn with a showstopper can flip a round on its head. That's the end of the video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you did enjoy, and I'll catch you all in the next one.